always, Ife, do we have another call?
Of course you do. You have Frank from the Bronx.
Frank in the Bronx, welcome back. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Galloway.
Good morning to you.
All right. I want to make a statement here, and it's going to be a short statement, but it's going to be a truth that I never hear say. Pardon me, my comment. If you study history, right, you will notice that there have been many different racial groups, their elite leaders who went for world conquest. At the scale with their power, the military, whatever, they attempted to conquer. Now, many different races attempted this and did it, but, they failed eventually. Now, I have to say this doesn't matter whether that sounds racist or not, but Japanese did it, Chinese did it, so on and so forth. Now, the last race to do this is the Caucasian race in world conquest. And this is the root of the problem, in my opinion. Now that the Caucasian race rules, they do not want to give up that rulership. They do not want any other race or any other ideology to supplant their rulership over the resources and over the people and over the planet Earth itself. And so if you, in my opinion, if you take that as the foundation of why all the chaos is happening with nations, then it fits, in my opinion, of why everything is happening the way it's happening.
Well, I do, yeah, of course I have an opinion on it. I just don't accept the racialization of the issue in the way that you have posed it. I, for example, have a white face and blue eyes, and I'm completely against the prevailing power in the world. And there are many people like me. There are black people like Barack Obama who support the prevailing power in the world today, and indeed are dripping in the blood of the victims of that power, at least abroad. There are people in China who are against the prevailing power, but there are other people in China who, if they could change the political paradigm there, would be happy to join it. I take Marx's definition above yours, which is that the history of all human society is the history of class struggle. Not racial struggle, but class struggle. Of course it's true that the ruling class in the world today is in Western and Northern countries predominantly. Of course there are...
Why can't you just tell the truth and say white? Why is it this language where saying the people who are doing it is not Western, it's Caucasian. If you said Asian, if you said African, then
no, but because I don't think that their color or their race has anything to do with it.
That's what Western means.
They are the ruling class because the Industrial Revolution, the capitalist revolution, began in Europe. And
right, Caucasian, right?
Well, it began in Europe, the Industrial Revolution, and it produced a capitalist class which, as Marx predicted, would become an imperialist class, reaching out across the globe to occupy other people's countries and steal their things.
That's what people in control of that.
Yeah, but not because they're white, but because they're capitalists and imperialists. And within the Western countries today, there are many people of many different racial backgrounds who are a part of that ruling elite. And I gave you the elephant, if you'll forgive me, that's sitting in the corner of the room that you have not yet commented upon, which is President Obama.
You remember the Japanese when they invaded China?
Can you deal with my point about President Obama? How does he fit in? How does he fit into your paradigm?
Okay, so you remember the Japanese when they invaded? Whenever a conquering nation or people invade another nation, they always want representatives to represent them, the conquering power. So if you studied the ancient, Japanese when they came into China, those people in power in the Chinese government were sympathetic to the will of the Japanese. So it's basically the same thing with Barack Obama. He's not representing black people as a whole. He's representing, he's a black man representing Caucasian people.
Well, he's representing rich people. I mean, the richest country. Look, listen, brother.
Oh my God.
The richest country in the world will very shortly be China. How will that influence your thinking?
Well, again, like I said, now we go into central banks. We go into what the Caucasians want through China, right? Which they're trying to destabilize, like they're trying to destabilize their own country. With this one world government thing, which they're trying to implement, right? But as long as China is submitting to the will of the Europeans, as long as they will eventually submit to the will and go along with the program.
Well, I can assure you they'll not do that. I can assure you that the days when the West could dictate to China are over, and that China by 2020 will be the biggest economy in the world, and Chinese foreign policy will be ever more assertive. So your paradigm, if it was correct, will begin to crumble at that point. But let me ask you a question.
Yes,
if we're not to judge black people by Barack Obama, why do you keep using the word Caucasians when there are millions of Caucasians, like me, who are completely against this political system? Don't you think it's a trifle divisive?
Well, I mean, think about this. During slavery, chattel slavery times, there were many Caucasians, whites during that time that were against, like John Brown, which you have to respect. But, however, there was not enough to overcome chattel slavery. So it was the elites, it was the middle class, or the lower class, all combined working to keep the system that chattel slavery in effect, where you have few whites, which you would get credit for. You know, any man that stands up against tyranny and oppression should be applauded. But however, it's very few.
How was it defeated then, slavery in America?
Well, I can't, obviously other people want to call, but remember in United States history,
I just want you to acknowledge that slavery was ended in America by black people and white people. Slavery was ended in America at the great battles that were fought in the American Civil War. And a lot of the soldiers who gave their blood were, as you would put it, Caucasian.
Yes, that's true. The form of slavery was ended. Chattel slavery was ended.
Yeah.
Then it was replaced with Jim Crow. So the form of slavery ended.
Yeah.
So they didn't end slavery because slavery still exists.
Well, let me tell you in conclusion, I had the privilege of hosting John Carlos, the great Olympian, in my city of Bradford a week ago, and it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, John, if you're listening to this. And he gave an exposition of these questions, which I found much more inspiring than my conversation with you, though I respect your point of view. I urge you to read the John Carlos story. He's a very great man and a very great black man. Thanks very much for that call. Ife, do we have another?
Yes, you do.